Human only is a bit of a fallacy anyway, because we don't live in a world that is human only. We live in a world that's propped up for sustainability, propped up with technology. I mean, myself, I live in Phoenix. It's a desert. I shouldn't be able to live here full time all year because a desert can't sustain life, can't sustain human life. So we have to truck in water, we have to pipeline in water. It's not human only, it's human intervention through technology. And that's the reality of most of what we're doing. I mean, this phone is not human only. I'm talking to tons of people across the world through technology that's not human only. Calculators are not human only. Vehicles like that car that just passed me, not human only. Human only would mean you walk to work and you walk everywhere you go. So when I see human only in the comments section of different videos that are usually pertinent to AI, it's confusing to me. I understand it. I understand the fear, and I also understand the misclassification of AI as being mindless slop. Because the average person is just using it to make videos of Donald Trump, videos of Martin Luther King in WWE. They're not actually using it to improve their life by any means. So in that sense, I would say, yeah, that type of application of AI isn't the best use of it. Just like different technologies that have come out, the best use of an airplane, in my opinion, is to move people from one place to another or move supplies from one place to another. But some people use airplanes as weapons. Some people use cars as weapons. But the human-only fallacy is something that people need to get away from if they want to be part of the future in a meaningful way. Because just like people who didn't want to learn computers in the 1980s, 1990s, and especially culminating in the 2000s, you don't have much of a runway to develop these skills, because just like anything, as technology advances, the need to adopt new technologies increases, and the time between implementation also slows down. Speeds up. Yeah, there's less time in between implementation now. And AI is kind of a meme, I guess, the way that most people use it. They're not using it to solve business problems. They're not usually using it to maybe, what do I want to say here? Efficient. They're not using it in an efficient way to increase efficiencies. That's what I was looking for. They're using it to make what's called AI slop. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's a place for AI slop. It's stupid. But there's Facebook slop as well. And people might call a doodle on a paper slop. How you doing there, Dr. Goose? But the fact is that AI, if you really harness the power of it, and my experiences with ChatGPT, can really simplify a lot of things for you and expedite a lot of processes of mundane tasks that you don't normally want to do. One good example is web developing. You could jump in, build a whole website in like 12 hours. Oh yeah, no problem, Dr. Goose. You could build these websites now in 12 hours. I'm not a web developer, but I was able to prompt ChatGPT to build out my website in 12 hours. I had been dragging my feet on that decision for about 6 months. Got it all done in 12 hours. So I'm going to start a poll. I want to know who's human only and who's out there using AI. So let me start a poll here. Forget where I do that. Oops. Or you could just let me know in the chat. But yeah, I do want to do a poll. Huh. I can't seem to find it now. Let's see. Anyway, I'm seeing a lot of sentiments about the AI stuff, right? People not being comfortable with it, people feeling threatened by it. Really, about anything in life, the more you know about something, the less threatened you feel, is what it is. So the more you learn about it, the less threatened you're going to feel. That's why I would encourage anybody, go out there and start playing with ChatGPT. It's free. I do the plus version, I pay for it. But it's a really good tool if you use it the way that most people aren't using it. You have to have ChatGPT ask you questions in order to make it efficient. That's the best way to go. That's what I recommend. So when I see human only in the comments, I'm not too sure what it means. But I do know that a resistance towards adopting new technologies has never been good historically. Could you imagine if you were around when electricity was first being widely used and you say, oh no, I'm candle only? Could you imagine that? You're going to get left behind is what it is. And I understand that huge cultural shifts and cultural changes are scary, especially if you don't understand them. But that's kind of where we're at. I don't see it going away. I see a bunch of people cheering when OpenAI says, oh, we lost $14 billion this year. People are cheering for it. There's a tear it all down mentality around it. It's not getting torn down. Once the rabbit's out of the hat, you can't put it back in, so to speak. So you might as well start to get get acclimated towards doing it. What's up, Cujo? I only have, maybe I'm not seeing all the chats. What do you say? Cujo, Dr. Goose, do you guys use AI? Have any of you used AI for anything other than making videos on Sora or something like that? That's what the vast majority of people are using AI for. But I've used it for everything. I've built websites with it. I just recently started making thumbnails with it. And I'll say, dude, I did a by hand thumbnail and I did one with ChatGPT. I'd hate to say it because I'm a thumbnail designer, but ChatGPT was better, man. It was. I had a pretty deliberate, detailed prompt. So it's not like I just put it up there and said, make this good. And that's really one of the other misconceptions that people have about AI. If you're not a good prompt engineer, you're not really going to be able to get much use out of it. It's a fact. You're not going to get much use out of it. But I do think AI can help kids too. Yeah, it can, but you got to monitor kids when they're on AI. You got to monitor kids when they're on YouTube, when they're on any devices. Children have developing minds. So usually the internet's not a very safe place for them if they're not being monitored by their parents or someone who cares about them. Because they could go down some weird rabbit holes, even with AI, I would imagine. There's been ugly reports about kids using AI and being told to harm themselves and things like that. And yeah, apparently the platforms have rectified those errors in their system, but if I had a child, I wouldn't chance it. If they were going to use AI, I'd be using it alongside them. The internet's a dangerous place for adolescents. But I'm a guy that grew up on the internet without any type of filters. It was 1999 when I first got online and started making websites. So there wasn't really much filter for me. My parents didn't know how to use a computer, so I pretty much had free reign on everything. And that was the era of Napster, Kazaa, LimeWire. Yeah, it was kind of the Wild West. But in the case of AI, it's still the Wild West. It's the Wild West again because everybody's coming out with their own little AI system. And the fact is it's a bit of a bubble as well from a financial market standpoint. I like ChatGPT. I've never used Gemini too much. I don't use X, so I've never used Gronk. But ChatGPT is solid. I recommend it. You can do a lot with it. Especially one of the tactics I like to do is have it ask me a bunch of questions, the AI. Especially if we're trying to build a web page. Now let's say we're offering golf lessons. You would tell the AI, okay, ask me as many questions as you need to ask in order to understand what I'm trying to sell to beginners. But ask me these questions as if you were a beginner, right? So you get prompted with 50 questions or so, and you ask them to ask the questions. You ask ChatGPT, well, ask me these questions one at a time. So that way you can answer more conversationally. So it's like me talking to this phone right now and this chat. If I'm prompted with a question in chat, I'm going to answer it conversationally and naturally. If you have a list of 50 questions, it can be cumbersome to have to answer all that. It's going to take you out of the moment, so to speak. But when you're answering conversationally with AI, you can then author something in your voice that works very well. So, let me see if I can figure out how to make a poll. No, I still don't see it. I'll take the chat filter off because maybe I'm missing some. Let's see. AI teaches you nothing. AI teaches laziness. I don't think so. AI has increased my output, and it's actually instilled some efficiencies in the way I think and look at things, actually. It's brought about some more self-awareness when I ask introspective questions, especially as it relates to personal life and business. Hell, I work more efficiently now that I have AI. But if you're lazy with AI, that's when you come up with AI slop. That's when you're just making videos about celebrities. You're doing a faceless YouTube channel about a topic that you don't even care about because you're just trying to make money. Yeah, I'll agree with you there, Dylan. That is lazy when somebody does that. But when you're actually using it as a resource, it would be like saying a carpenter's lazy because he uses a nail gun rather than a hammer. No, he's being more efficient, and he's using the best technology available to him to accomplish his goals more efficiently. That's what AI is. And the more people look at AI like that, I think the better a transition it'll be into it. Because like I said, one of the things that I make my money with and that I enjoy doing are creating thumbnails for YouTube videos. And I just found today, prompting AI with a bunch of seed images and describing what my vision is in my brain to the system actually works a lot better than going through it on my own in Photoshop for 45 to 60 minutes each. It's efficiencies, man. Drives efficiencies. But I understand why people are a little reluctant to adopt it. I would say AI is also good for researching things. For example, if you got a really long video that you want to watch, you could send the transcript out and just have that transcript read and can go completely through the transcript and give you all the key points. One of the guys I'm working with right now, actually, he runs a golf channel on YouTube. His name's Paul Gorman. And Gorman's got something really revolutionary coming out. It's called the G-Bot, named after himself, of course. And what this bot will do is it'll search 300 videos within his online course. You're talking about hundreds of hours of teaching over the last 30 years. And it'll pinpoint the exact timestamp for whatever thing you ask it about golf. So if you're slicing, if you got a bad downswing or backswing, this G-Bot that Paul's developed will take you right to the video at the exact timestamp to where the information is that you need. Now, I'm not a fan of too many online courses, but the deal is, most of the selling points for some of these online courses is that you'll get 100 hours of great content. Who wants to watch 100 hours of great content? Who has 100 hours to spare? I mean, we literally have the attention span of 2 seconds right now as a human race. But with the G-Bot and technology like that through AI, you can now pinpoint exactly where people need to be, exactly when they need to be there in milliseconds. It's beautiful. Can AI destroy our world if it's bad? I mean, the only thing that can destroy the world are humans, usually, or a catastrophic climate event or a catastrophic natural disaster. That could destroy the world as we know it, you know. The nuclear weapons that we developed during World War II could destroy the world, so I guess you can add AI into it if people give it unchecked power. I mean, governments have that already, and they haven't destroyed the world yet, but if you watch the news, you're constantly on edge thinking that it could happen, so I can understand why someone would apply that to AI, since it's an emerging technology that not everyone knows about, and not everyone has a lot of experience working with. So yeah, I can understand the fear. There's fear of anything. I mean, I lived through Y2K when all the computers were supposed to shut down on New Year's Eve 1999. I'm sorry, 2000. New Year's Eve 2000. No, it was 1999. And it was supposed to be catastrophic. I knew people that stockpiled water, stockpiled batteries and all that stuff, and food. Nothing really happened. It just turned into a new year, but a lot of people made money making people fearful of that. So why should we think that AI is any different, right? Is it overblown? Yeah. Think about when Amazon came out, when e-commerce was first in its infancy on the internet. Amazon wasn't profitable. They were losing money every year. And people laughed at Bezos. They laughed at him. Just like they're laughing at OpenAI right now and Sam Altman. Of course it's not going to be profitable in the first few years. Most businesses aren't. If a business is super profitable in its first few years, it's not because that person's a business genius. It's usually because it's a market condition. But this is an emerging technology, and you know, OpenAI is pretty much the forerunner when it comes to the AI platforms that are out there. Maybe Gemini, maybe Gronk. I mean, you know, Gemini is going to be working with Apple for Siri. They're going to revitalize that with Google, which is ironic that it's going to take Android technology to revitalize an Apple phone, an iPhone. But I guess that's what happens when you don't keep up with the times, right? And you don't keep innovating. I bet they wish they would have taken AI a little more seriously at Apple, right? Because I don't have an Apple phone. I have a Samsung, and I hear that Siri compared to a ChatGPT or something like that, I don't know. It's like a Super Nintendo versus a VR headset, you know? What's it say? If AI was I don't know what that says. I don't know what that means. But it's a nice day out here in Phoenix. I figured I would just talk a little bit about that but it can hurt us. Any technology has been leveraged to hurt us, Cujo. Every technology that's ever existed has been leveraged to hurt us. Photography was made to take photos of people, and then some people take photos of people in compromising situations to exploit them and to blackmail them. Airplanes were made to move people and objects vast distances quickly, and then people used them to move bombs quickly. So any type of technology can be leveraged to hurt humans or hurt the environment. Even fire, think about that. That's one of the earliest technologies harnessed and developed by humans. Fires hurt a lot of people, don't you think? But if it's used correctly and ethically, fire is great. It keeps us warm. It warms our food. But it can be used to hurt us. Any technology can. But it was a good talk. I think that's about all I have on the AI subject. So just remember, if you're in the comments and you see human only, remember that means you're getting rid of your car, you're getting rid of your house, you're getting rid of all these materials that technology have given us. If you're truly going to be human only, you're going to go live in the jungle or in the woods. And that's great if that's how you want to live. There's nothing wrong with it. But just because you're not using AI doesn't mean that you're truly living a life that's human only.